What is up, everybody? See the Floor podcast. You here with the guys, the bros, your boy K Malone,
Ryan Wilson.
Got a great episode for y'all today. You ready, brother?
Let's get it.
You know the deal. See the Floor podcast. Your boy K Malone,
Ryan Wilson.
and our first official guest via video, via Zoom. You know, because all the this ain't even COVID. It's just it's kind of hard to get 3 people on camera, but featuring the greatest, aka my mom, aka the financial guru. Mom, introduce yourself.
Happy to be here. As you said, I'm your mom, Lorna Malone, here with my two favorite people. And I guess I would take the word financial guru since I have probably about 40 years of finance, accounting, and operations experience. So really glad to be here today to talk to you guys about, finances and everything in professional way.
Glad to have you.
Yep, definitely glad to have you, and definitely want to do this episode and kind of talk about it because as we're both growing up and coming to you for financial advice, obviously, in my career especially, you've definitely been guiding me on finances. But one of the things that I think people as professionals, whether that's in their work field or professional athletes in general, just kind of talk about the importance of, the almighty dollar and what it means to actually have and make money.
When we think about the almighty dollar, it's really important to understand. You use the word power, and it really does have power, but we have to use it correctly. There is not power in just spending on things that have no meaning. There is no power in not saving for the future. One of the things you didn't mention was I'm a retired financial. And so what you have to make sure you do is understand that you're not going to work forever. And so you have to make sure that you really utilize your money correctly. And money speaks. And so it really does have power.
Yeah. Because you talk about the retired part, especially for me, being at the beginning, Ryan being a little bit older, so he's kind of making his way through. Can you kind of talk to us about, when you first, are coming out? So a lot of things that we've talked about is, me signing my first professional contract and what to do when you first get a large, lump sum of money.
It's really funny you say that because you don't know how much more you'll get. So there are so many people who, when they get that first dollar, they just go spend crazy. And then they have to wait for the next big spend. I was reading an article on Shaq, and he talked about when he signed his first big endorsement, he went to the car dealership and bought 3 Mercedes. One for him and his parents, and each one of them was over 6 figures. Well, the good thing about that is he recognized that may not be a good idea. Mm-hmm. And so he said, I need to make sure I go and get a business manager for that, because it becomes really easy to just spend. And so you have to be so careful, especially in the beginning, that you are really planning, as I continue to say, for the future.
Where do you think that stems from? As far as, players, athletes automatically going and making that big purchase? Is that a cultural thing, or is it just they weren't shown any better?
I think it's a combination of all of them. Culturally, and I'm just going to point at us, our culture, that is the thing that we would do. And when we say, have they been shown any better? That's a yes and a no. Sometimes you've been shown better, but you're so excited and you want people to see, I now have money. Mm-hmm. Then there are those people who they have not been taught. They're not used to having anything. And so they live from day to day. So it's okay to go out and spend that money because they're used to not having money. Mm-hmm. And so they don't feel like it's necessary to really save or don't understand the importance of it.
I'm gonna speak. I mean, I had that moment. I wanted to have that moment. Obviously, I was advised otherwise. So I'm gonna point that out for the people out there.
And I think that's important. You have to surround yourself with the right people, because you are telling the truth. The first thing you want to do is say, okay, I need a new car. There is not a need unless you don't have.
Correct.
The car is it though.
Preacher.
The car makes it feel like I made it.
Yeah.
Because when you can buy a car outright and just be like, I got it, put it on the table.
That goes back to that cultural thing and why people make so many mistakes by just saying, I got it, I'm just going to go do this.
Definitely. One of the things, and now, kind of definitely pertaining more to like both of us, something I'm learning now, like just in me pursuing other avenues in life, like understanding how much money you actually make, because I just thought, okay, I get this money and all this money is mine. And there's a such thing called taxes and Uncle Sam and, getting a return and not getting a return and all these different things that you have to account for. Like you said, you can't just spend, because at some point, somebody's going to be looking for some money. And if you don't have it, you're kind of in trouble.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing that's why I say you have to surround yourself with good people, because people don't understand that, especially when you're young. And there's so many young athletes now that are coming out that they didn't work before. So their first thought is not, oh, I'm only getting 60% of this, or I'm only getting 50% of this. And so they go spend before they even have received the first check. So you don't even know it's not going to look the way you thought it was going to look. Because not only are you paying Uncle Sam, but you're paying other people who are helping you as well.
Gotcha.
It also falls into, the whole overseas and being paid overseas and being paid in the States. Because, overseas, you don't get that tax. Mm-hmm. But when you bring it back over.
Yeah, I mean, because that was the thing. Like, and I clearly called, you, Mom, going to the airport because I'm looking at the sign. And it's like, if you're bringing $10,000 or whatever more through customs, you got checked. And I'm asking you, I'm like, do I have to check this money that I have? And you were just like, well, you don't have more than 10,000. Like, so that was, that was an experience. And then, obviously, coming home to have to figure out like, okay, how do I get these euros transferred to dollars and get them into my bank account? Like, because I know some guys will be like, where do I do that at? Or I found out you do that in the airport, you're going to lose money.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, it's scary. I mean, and that's one of the things blessed of having you. And like, I mean, even if you're going to play overseas basketball, you're going to play a sport professionally. I mean, you get to a point where the money, you need help managing it. Like, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. And I'm sure, Ma, that you would definitely agree with that.
And that's why I was saying Shaq recognized it immediately. Oh, I need to get a business manager, because you have to think about that. And you have to think about, all the money that's spent on all the different things every month and really understand what that means based on what your salary is for the year. Yeah. And really understand that.
Speaking on culture, it seems like us as a culture, we tend to feel the need to pick up everybody else, as far as our parents or the coach your high school coach or, people that helped you along the way. Whereas I feel like other cultures, they worry about their kids and so on. And I feel like that's the difference. Would you agree with that?
I definitely agree. Let me just say this. You should definitely take care of your parents.
Well, yeah. That's a given. That's a given. But sorry, as far as, let me just throw that out there. I mean, as far as everybody else is,
No, seriously. That's the other problem is they want to bring all their friends, all the people who have been there for them all along the way. And you really just can't afford to do that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with helping a few people, but you really need to do it in a way that they're earning it rather than you're just giving it to them. They should have purpose other than your parents. No, I'm just, but they should have purpose so that you are getting a benefit out of it as well. And that's what people have to realize, whether it's their charity arm or, some other things that this person is doing that you would normally have to pay someone else to do. It shouldn't just be a free ride. And I think that's where we go wrong. And that's why we end up with nothing. And then those people, are they going to be there for you when you have nothing?
Right.
Are they still be able to help you along the way? Are they still going to support you the way they did when you were coming up? Because there are people who do it because that's what they want to do. And there are people who do it looking for a payoff down the road.
Can you kind of go into that, explaining the benefit of, maybe putting someone on payroll and them earning it? Maybe how does that benefit an athlete as far as, versus just handing them money or a bag of money, whatever it may be?
Because it's just like I said, if you have somebody who, say, for instance, I'll just take like my background, right? So maybe I would be the business manager because that's somebody you would normally pay anyway. So it's okay if you're paying me to be the business manager and I'm providing a service because that's money you would be out of anyway. If you feel the need to have a personal assistant, that's somebody you would pay anyway. So if it's one of your friends, and you just have to look at what their skill sets are. And again, if it's you have camps and clinics and that's when they come and they work and they do things so they're earning it and you're just not, giving it to them. The other thing that people have to understand is in that way, they are forced to have their own way to make money because this is not something given to them like monthly, just whatever they need. They just come to you. No, they're working. Right. So they have to manage their money based on their pay, just like everyone else does.
Not just enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if either of y'all got to see maybe a clip of interview with Lil Yachty, like his friends, as Lil Yachty, the rapper from Atlanta, came into more money that, he tried to give his friends, business things to do. It was like, he knew one of his friends liked clothing. One of his friends, in terms of, possibly, buying a retail space for him to have a sneaker shop. And they're like, no, I don't want to do this. He was like, I'm not friends with those guys anymore, because I'm trying to give you guys business opportunities and y'all are just acting like, it's just a free ride. Like, we just going to party and parlay and that's going to be it. Mom, one of the things I want to definitely, ask you that, we kind of talked about as we were kind of curating this is where kind of pinpoint some of the things that, in your experience where you've seen, athletes and people where they've spent their money and where it's gone to versus where it should go. Like if you were advising them, where do you think your first check, someone just dropped you a 6-figure check. You've never seen 6 figures before. Where should that money go versus where people actually normally spend it?
The first thing that the person should do is figure out how they're going to live, whether it's I have to purchase a home or I want to purchase a home. If you don't have transportation, yes, you're buying transportation. And then how much do I really need to live off each month? And then that other big portion of it, you have to find a financial advisor to really get somebody to help you make your money work instead of spending it all. And culturally, we have a habit of, we already talked about it, cars, shoes, homes, vacations, boats, like fine dining, like buying sections, buying out the place and just
Hey, I didn't buy out those sections down.
Big bottles, the most expensive, bottles of alcohol. I mean, it's just like
Ma, you left off jewelry.
I'm sorry.
That should have been number 2.
People have got to come with some kind of big bling. And it's just one of those things that, what does that really get you at the end of the day?
How do you determine who you can trust? So you say the first thing you should do is probably get a financial advisor, but how do you determine who you can trust? Because a lot of people take your money, invest it, or not invest it, but just take your money. So how do you determine that?
It is difficult, and really, You should really interview and talk to a lot of different financial advisors, and also talk to people you trust, mentors, or even people like in the game, people who do well in the game, and ask them, who's your financial advisor? Because you want to have somebody who has experience with that as well, not just Joe Blow, but somebody who knows how to manage that type of money. But the most important thing is you cannot take your eye off of your own money. So, trust is, it's good to trust people, but you also have to be savvy enough and learn enough that you can keep your eye on your money. So even if they go astray, you're smart enough to notice that something's wrong. And you never, ever want to give them all access to everything, right?
Gotcha.
I mean, it's really interesting. And again, since I've retired, uh, with my financial advisor, the first thing he said was, oh, you can connect all of your accounts. So my regular bank accounts, everything. Well, I don't believe, and again, this is just my opinion, that they should have access to everything. You need to keep something separate and make sure you always have money that you control, pretty quickly. And it's really difficult, but you just have to pay attention, and you should never be afraid to change or say this is not working, or have them checked, which is also why it's important to have more than one person. That's why you have the financial advisor. That's why you have the tax accountant. That's why you have the business manager. That's why you have the agent. That's why you have your mother.
Man, sounds
So
that's a lot of fees going out the window. 2% here, 3% there, 5% there.
A lot of fees, but it isn't. Your tax accountant is not paid every day, but they are able to take a look at what's happening and really make sure things are done correctly. Because the other thing that we see a lot from athletes are these tax issues. So it's important. So while we're saying that's a lot of money, well, then maybe you don't buy jewelry or that new car, but you know in the long run your money is safe and working for you.
Yeah, I mean,
who was it? Antoine Walker that got in trouble not paying his taxes. Wasn't it somebody?
I don't think he did pay off his gambling debt.
Okay.
He had gambling debts. Anton Walker would go in there and be like, "Hey, give me, boy, his tab was long in the casinos."
Yeah.
But Mom, one of the things I want to ask you too. So, like in that kind of situation, in terms of piggybacking off of his question, in terms of knowing who to trust. What would be red flags like to you? What says either A, in the interview process, that this person seems like a snake or a shark, or as you're starting to look at your finances, like something doesn't seem right? What will be considered red flags? Because I think that's something that maybe athletes do miss as well. Is you think you get somebody that you can trust, and maybe they are at first, and you just don't even see the red flags because maybe they're so good at what they do that it's hard to tell that something is off.
It is hard to tell. And, for me, and I know this is kind of weird, but I just kind of, have these feelings. But one of the things I will say is when they're speaking to you, a lot of times they'll just speak quickly or say, oh, yeah, we're doing this or that, or yeah, this is a good deal or whatever it is. And it doesn't matter if you're going to read it or if you're not. Every single thing that they're doing for you, you want it in writing, you want to have it, you want to have someone else read over it. And I just believe in checking the checker. Like you have to have somebody who's checking them. And if you're not skilled at doing that, then, you have to make sure you have somebody around you that is. And so you want to make sure you have every single thing. And anytime your questions are not answered, or they're saying, oh, no, I can't get you this money right now, or no, you should, then you have to really question, where is my money? And, a lot of times athletes get really busy and they don't check on what's going on. That's the other thing. Not only do you have people checking, you have to at least continue to look at it and say, okay, everything is growing or it's not growing. If it's not growing, why? What can we do differently?
I know, like we're saying money is power, but it sounds like knowledge of money is just as important.
Yeah.
It is, definitely.
Now, the other thing is that I kind of want to get into, because this is kind of, I think, where, we're all heading, and I know you being retired, in terms of, what's something that, if you were, to step in the position now of, managing athletes, where's a place that you would invest your money? Like, obviously his shirt says, minding my black-owned business. And, obviously we've had conversations about, in terms of where can we start a business? Where is our lane? Where would you suggest somebody in terms of wanting to put their money somewhere, and, from a business perspective?
I think I think that's twofold. When you have the kind of money that some of these athletes have,
Like that
you
disposable income.
Absolutely, you have the ability to invest in something you have a passion about. So my advice is really sitting down, understanding what that person loves, and give them an opportunity to really, get into that type of investment, because they'll pay more attention to it because it's their love, it's their passion. The second part of that is it may not be what you love, but it's what will make you money. And so then you want to make sure you're in those type of investments as well that, will really give you that passive income while you're not having to pay attention or really contribute while you're playing. But in the long run, it's setting you up for your future. So when you say types of things, whether it's real estate, whether it's the stock market, whether it's, a Chick-fil-A or a clothing line or, any of those type things, then those are the kinds of things that you want to make sure you're investing in so that when you retire, there are other things that are available.
I feel like also if it's something you're passionate about, it's going to be something you keep up with.
Right. You definitely will pay attention. And that's why I say those are the things you really want to make sure a person understands, because you will keep up with it. If it's something that you just said, oh, yeah, that's a good investment, then people go, oh, they're not really investing. That's a name only. If it's something you're passionate about, you're going to be checking in. You're going to make sure it's done the way you want it to be done. And you're going to make sure it represents you.
Now, are there some things that you would suggest, a person or, any client that you have of things to stay away from? Because, I know that, that's something that we've talked about of, people approaching me and, I'm sure Ryan has had it too. People have a conversation with you and think that, you'd be a good fit for this business model or this proposal or whatever. Like, what would be some things you would tell, people that are trying to figure out what to do with their extra money to stay away from?
I don't think anything that requires recruiting to make money, because first of all, you're not going to have that kind of time. So you need to kind of stay away from those type things, the pyramids, any of those type things. You need to stay away from it. The really get cash quick type things you should stay away from. A lot of people want to, okay, I want a fragrance line. I want to, those type things. And again, unless you're really focused on that, or you really have this presence that somebody will say, oh, absolutely on this, those are not the types of things I would recommend unless that truly is your passion. Not those are the quick, easy things that people always throw out there.
Yeah, there's a lot to, I don't want to say be fooled on, but, like you said, there's a lot of, get rich quick that, when you have some disposable money, you're like, oh, this money will just turn over real fast. And I'm sure there's people that have approached you about it.
Yeah, you can definitely understand the hesitation that athletes have when investing their money, because it's a lot of money and they probably never seen that much money, and you hate to lose it.
Yeah, definitely. Mom, one of the last things that we want to touch on, just kind of parting words, because I know we can go on forever, because like I said, our conversations with you are, it's not just, these are one day conversations. These are conversations obviously you have with me, on a daily to weekly basis. But, what would kind of be your your final, parting advice, like I said, to any, athlete, whether it's up and coming, already made millions of dollars, professional, they've climbed their way up the ladder, now they're seeing, the dividends pay off where, they have extra money. What's your final parting, financial advice to them?
My advice is don't just think about today. You have to think about tomorrow. I mean, when you think about that athlete who gets that first contract, there's no guarantee of another contract. So you have to think in your mind, how can I maximize my dollars so that I have something remaining if this does not continue? And I think that's the most important thing that people really have to understand. And, my advice too is wait a year, see how you're doing. Only in your first year, get your necessities before you getting all of those other things that you want. Wait a year so you can see how things are going and how things are going to pan out. That also will tell you about your true friends. And the reason why it will be is because you won't be spending a lot of money, right? You're going to say, I am waiting a year to see how things go. This is maybe a new city for me. I've never been on my own. I now have to pay for these expenses myself. See if they're going to come along that journey with you when you're not just throwing the money out there and partying and helping them along the way. Those are the people, too, when you talk about trust, that you can keep along the way with you. But I say take it slow. Do not jump out there and just start buying.
Got you. Hey, well, y'all heard it from the financial guru herself. I mean, this is all information I get, on the daily. Anything that I feel like buying or purchasing, I'll be honest with you, I run it by Mom Dukes first because I know, it's going to benefit me in the long run if she tells me, not to do it. Like I said, for all athletes out there, if anybody wants to reach out to her, like I said, she's retired. She would love to be able to help anybody that, is in the space where they'd like to manage their money better or just have the financial tools and knowledge necessary. Please contact her and we'll definitely get y'all in touch with her, man, for sure.
Definitely.
So, Mom Dukes, glad to have you on the show. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for the support. But you already know, follow your boy on Instagram, B_great, KAE.
Follow your boy, witness your moment. You are.
Man, get at our Instagram and our Twitter.
See the floor _
Man, and also get at the website.
www.seethefloorpodcast.com.
And like I said, you got any questions for her, you can follow us on our social media and get to her. Like I said, please, we appreciate the love. Subscribe, comment, follow, tell a friend, tell all. Till next time, y'all, we out.
See life like you see the floor.